Hello, everyone. It's Barry from Jerusalem. Happy Hanukkah to everyone. This week's parsha is Miketz. Miketz has to do with an end to the suffering of Joseph. And Yosef, he was, of course, thrown into jail, but he was released and he became second to the king of Egypt. So we have two kinds of lights. We have Yaakov, the progenitor of the light of Torah that sits within the 12 sons, his 12 sons, and this special son, Yosef, who he favored, but in his favoritism created jealousy. So there had to be a correction, or a tikkun they call it, where Yosef had to make peace with his brothers, because the Torah's way in peace is, in the Shema Yisrael, it's written that you should love Hashem b'chol levavecha, b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol me'odecha. You should love Hashem with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. So Yaakov was the torch, Yosef was the candle, and now we have Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the living torch, the fire and passion of the Jewish people that reside in the high priest called the Kohanim. These Kohanim were very special. They look to sanctify the name of God. But God has all these laws and rules regarding Kadosh, being holy. In other words, when the temple existed, the Kohen Gadol, the once a year, the main Kohen would go into the Holy of Holies and ask forgiveness from his family, himself, his family, and the community. Now, if he didn't have the proper thoughts in his mind, it could be his instant death. He even had little rings, pomegranate rings on his robe with a rope tied to his leg. And for some reason, the Kohen Gadol, on this one day of the year, Yom Kippur, the holiest Jewish day of the year, he didn't have the right thoughts in his prayers. He had a backup already prepared for him in case his thoughts weren't pure. So the concept and the idea of the Jewish people is to have greater holiness, greater sanctity, as God expressed in the Torah. And this thing is expressed, and really very true, the holiday of Hanukkah. Hanukkah has to do with the light and the courage and the passion of the Jewish people. These Kohanim were a small family, maybe 13, I'm not 100% sure, but they had to go against thousands of Greeks that were destroying the Jewish community from the inside. This is what Hanukkah is about: overcoming your fears, putting your trust in God, making an action, not to rely on miracles, but it was a miracle that actually occurred that day when the Maccabees, the leaders of the Jewish people at the time, were rescued and defeated a massive army of thousands of Greeks. How could it be? Was it the person or the people or the collective unity that saved the Jewish people? We have to understand one very important aspect to our belief as Jews. The Jews were saved because God wanted them to be saved. The Jews are blessed to be the ambassadors to God in this world, to give a light to the rest of mankind. That's the basic purpose. But in order to do this, we need our Torah. And the Jews and the Greeks, Assyrian Greeks, tried to destroy the Shabbat, which we keep every Friday night, and the Milah, which is the Brit or the circumcision. They said, no. You have to be more like us. We're in control now. We destroyed your temple. And Shabbat, Milah, and Nida. Nida was the ritual that a Jewish woman would go in her hour of impurity. That has to do with the menstrual cycle. And she has to dip into the water. And they said, no more mikvah. Okay? So Nida is a separation. And the separation of the Jewish people has to do with Kedusha. Kedusha is the holiness of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. There's a lot of rules. Even if he didn't wash properly, it could mean his death. He had to wash his hands, he had to feet, and his feet he had to dunk in